151 PC ETBs are going absolutely through the roof. We're going to cover that and more in this Pokemon market update. And we're going to just jump straight into it because honestly, this is insane what we're currently seeing with the 151 PC ETBs. Now, we're going to start off on eBay. And this is the last sold as of yesterday. Yes, you're seeing that number correct. $799.99 with $10 shipping, over $800. And you currently right now there's just no listings on eBay. There's very minimal listings on TCG Player. These boxes are continuing to get scarce and they are just going up and up and up in value. Now, before this sale, we did see a $700 sale, another $700 sale, and then this one's interesting. This does seem like more of the anomaly at $959. So I would exclude this one from the sale, but it does show that that would be insane if these are nearing in on $1,000 at this point this quickly. But the fact that they're consistently selling at $700 plus and now $800 is absolutely wild to see. Now, check this out. So this is if as of this recording, Tuesday, July 15th, 17 results. Not for cases. I did exclude, I went under 1,500 because I wanted to exclude cases from the search. But there's only 17 listings for 151 PC ETBs currently on eBay. So this is a product, I mean, look, you got a $1,200 box with 14 watchers. And then like look at some of these prices, $1,350. And then obviously we have some for bids, you have some for buy it nows in the $800 range. So it'll be very interesting to see where these end up, but I don't think anybody would have had on their bingo card that these would have hit these prices this quickly. And then actually some of the better deals that you can currently find, at least as of this recording, are actually on TCG Player. Right now, you can see there are 35 currently listed on TCG Player, and lowest listeds right now are in the upper 600s, lower $700 range as far as the lowest listings here. So this listing and the chart needs to update to reflect the current sales. Once that does, because it's lagging behind, showing market price at $587 here on TCG Player. And you can see these are the last solds before what we've been seeing: 500, 690, 685, and 685. So absolute dominance when it comes to the sealed market with 151. Now, it does lead me to beg the question, are we going to see some movement from this card right here following this big movement from the PC ETBs taking another jump? This is the stamped Snorlax card with the Pokemon Center stamp. Now, this one has been on the decline and continuing to decline just in the past 3 months, down 25%. In the past month, down another 5%. So it's been dropping from a high of around $200. But with these boxes approaching in on 1,000, are we going to start to see some movement on this card? You can see there was a lot of purchases here between June 22nd and June 24th. Only 10 copies, and there's 60 copies currently listed. So we'll have to see if at some point the promo card does take a jump in value. You would expect that it would take at least some jump. I don't know to what extent, but because, as the boxes are open, for those who are opening them, there's more supply of the promo entering the market and less supply of the PC ETB. So absolutely wild numbers. As far as other stuff happening with the set, we're not seeing a ton of other movement. For example, the Charizard right here is continuing to kind of do its thing and decline and then kind of hover around that 180-ish, 190-ish dollar mark. So nothing crazy really happening on this front currently. You can see in the past month, it's jumped up a little bit, around 6%, and it's kind of fluctuated a little bit up and down. 135 copies currently available. And then you have the UPC, 151 UPC, moving up in value slowly, but hitting that $400 mark. And what you will find interesting here is listed median price is at $500. So it's just a matter of time before this box hits $500. And let's see what the 1 month has. Almost 8% of growth in the past months, which is pretty solid. So it's continuing just to grow and grow and grow, getting closer and closer, to being a solid $400 box, and then moving up to $500. Kind of wild to see. Zooming out right here, a year ago, $122 on the 151 UPC. Now, a lot of this movement happening more recently, and something just worth noting is that we were seeing Bitcoin hit its all-time high. It's down just a teensy bit off of its all-time high. I believe it cracked 120,000, and then now it's kind of come back down to 116,000. But this is the 1 year chart, obviously up 86%. It's been on a little bit of a run since about April. It shot up and then it kind of flattened for a little bit in June, and now it's seeing another uptick. So a lot of the times when we see Bitcoin move, we see Pokemon move, specifically sealed product, expensive sealed product. So that may be a contributing factor when it comes to these 151 PC ETBs moving. Now, we could see some other stuff start to move as far as maybe Sword and Shield era boxes and other stuff. We'll talk about potentially what's next, maybe with some Scarlet and Violet at the end of the video. But then we do have everyone's favorite Bubble Mew getting a little bit of a bounce, and Paldean Fates looking really good as well. This is what we're seeing as far as the Bubble Mew, which has been hit really hard, but you can see almost an 8% bounce on this card in a near mint copy just in the past month. But, if you zoom out, it's still obviously down on the 3 month and the 6 month. Once we get a little bit further, it's down, pretty substantially still off of its $420 previous high, coming down to around just under 300, but now coming back up to around 317, and lowest listeds are continuing to climb. So that is interesting. Looks like we're probably going to get a little bit of hype around this card potentially. Currently lowest listed 325, and then a few sales and it moves up to around 350 and then 375. So it'll be interesting to see how high this card goes back up and how quickly it goes back up. You can see these are the recent sales. There is one as high as 372. That is as of yesterday, and a 350 sale. So it'll be something interesting. Supply starting to dwindle a little bit down into the 40s as far as how many copies are available. And you will see this in the last month, 119 copies were purchased, and there's only 44 currently listed. So that is an indicator that we might see this as far as TCG Player goes. Might see those prices continue to rise. And then PSA 10 pricing, believe it or not, continuing to rise. Back when the Bubble Mew ran up before, we did see it crack $1,000 back in January. Now we're on price charting. It shows both PSA and raw near mint pricing. And yeah, so you can see it looks like right around here, February is where the raw price peaked, but the PSA 10 pricing kind of peaked around January, and then it kind of cooled off till about May. But now we're seeing, as far as PSA 10s go, even though the raw pricing hasn't really increased quite as much, we're seeing PSA 10s in the $1,100 range currently in July. And you can see right here, these are some of the last solds for PSA 10s as far as, and it says eBay sales. 1,100, 1,000, 1,100, 1,250, 1,250, 1,100. So PSA 10s of this card have been going up. So that is interesting. And then on top of that, we are seeing Elite Trainer Box pricing pretty high, all things considered, for Paldean Fates. Now, it's been a little bit flat-ish for the past few weeks, kind of in that 180 mid to upper $180 mark for the ETBs, but it's still up 47% in the past 3 months. And once again, listed median price at $225. And let's see, the 1 month snapshot. So this is showing in the past month. You can see there's a lot of sales here, 15. So it's not guaranteed that's going to happen in a month. Sales slowed down as prices go up. But if this trend even remotely continues within the next month, you would see this probably crack a $200 box, just because this is how many are sold in the last month, and this is how many are currently available. So supply for regular ETBs of this set continuing to dwindle. Paldean Fates, obviously the Bubble Mew carrying the weight of this set. Currently, like the Charizard from the set is not moving, so it is the Bubble Mew and then the ETBs that are moving. And PC ETBs also doing well, but yeah, so definitely getting some attention back when it comes to PSA 10s and raw near mint copies of this. So it'd be interesting to see too, on top of this, if we see any of those other chase cards that were moving big from the Scarlet and Violet era, if we see them kind of follow the trend of after this card moves, they move. So that will be something else to keep an eye on, and I will keep you guys updated as we do post daily. And then a little bit of an update on the other hot set that everyone has been talking about, which is Hidden Fates. Hidden Fates ETBs are continuing to climb up in value. You can see in the past 3 months up almost 40% on this Elite Trainer box. And if you want to look at something wild, a year ago 173, now we're at 400 plus. And let's see on the 1 month snapshot what it looks like. Only 25 sold in the past month at these prices, but and there's 80 currently available, so it might be a little bit slower of a move up unless a ton of these sell when it comes to the ETBs. These haven't had quite as much movement as like the Stained Birds promo, which we'll talk about in a second, but listed median around 467, so going to continue to rise in value. That's pretty easy to see, and lowest listeds in that $400 range, which is actually a little bit above the current market price, but a little bit below this last sale of 435. So Hidden Fates ETBs doing pretty well and continuing to grow. So yeah, that's kind of wild to see as far as Hidden Fates goes, but it is what it is. And then this is obviously the one that's taken the big jump, is the promo card. People are going absolutely crazy. It is a very unique promo card. It's a very nice looking promo card. Stained glass, the birds looking good, but as far as the promo card goes, to even just ignoring the PSA 10s just for a second, look how long this was so cheap. 2021, $11. It came up a little bit to around 20, and then 18, 20. For years it was just cheap and affordable, and now we're seeing it at over $100. Even in February, March, April, it was into the $50 range, $60 range, and now we're seeing it over $100. But when you factor in PSA 10 pricing, we haven't seen, this is all-time highs. Back here, we were seeing $223, but now we're seeing around $400 and $380. And right here are some of the last solds, including, it looks like one today. It looks like maybe price coming down a little bit. 330, 360, 460, 350, 360, 350, 360. So it looks like maybe coming down a little bit as far as what we're currently seeing for PSA 10 pricing. But that's not too crazy considering it spiked up pretty quick. So there'll be more people grading these copies, more of them coming back from PSA, so the price might come down a little bit. So yeah, absolutely wild numbers on those sets. Now, with more money coming in, with like Bitcoin going up and more money coming in, what are we going to see move up next? There are a few things that we have talked about recently that could see upticks when it comes to Scarlet and Violet. Paldea Evolved has been hot. I mean, look at where it's been going more recently. It's nearing in on a $400 box. It's not quite there yet, but will Paldea Evolved be a $400 booster box soon? That, is an interesting question. Median price is listed at around 400. So that definitely possible. That also being that there's 117 listed, with 158 being sold in the past month. So we'll see, obviously, Sales decline as price goes up, so we'll see less sales, but that definitely being a potential when it comes to Paldea. The Magikarp obviously getting a bounce as well. So, that happening, a chase card there, the Bubble Mew, a lot of stuff happening. So will we see that happen? We're also seeing an uptick in Destin Rivals recently. Nothing too crazy. But comparatively, when you start to see, like in my opinion, that Destin Rivals being a better set, that much better set than some of these other sets, kind of in or around this price point, will we see Destin Rivals, hit the $300+ mark? You can see once again listed medium price on TCG Player for a booster box is around 300 currently, and there's only 340 booster boxes available. We just talked about this one recently in a video, and 1,300 sold in the last month. So in theory, we should start to see this box run up more recently if supply is starting to dwindle on Destin Rivals. So that'll be another thing interesting to keep an eye on. Or are we going to see the merry-go-round, the carousel effect, which is something we've talked about? Are we going to see things shift back to Sword and Shield? Are we going to see more, Sun and Moon era tag team cards and stuff like that? We don't really know. Sometimes the market can be a bit of a mystery, but the carousel analogy that I've used before, if you're new to the channel, if you ever watch somebody on the carousel go around, you can only watch them so far, and then they go out the back, out of view, and then something else and something new comes in to perspective, and so you watch somebody else go around until the person that you're watching comes around, or whatever you've been watching, and so it's like the hottest thing, and then it goes back behind, and then we're like, okay, now it's Hidden Fates. Oh, and before it was Fusion Strike and all the Sword and Shield, and it's just like this very cyclical cycle. And yeah, so just what's going to be next, as far as if some of this stuff gets too expensive, is where like Scarlet and Violet's, well, Scarlet and Violet's way too expensive. Obviously we have mega stuff coming too, so that can also play a big factor as well. So that'll be interesting. That's still a little ways down the road, but there's a new era coming as well. So how much is that going to disrupt things with that? Because Scarlet and Violet era started off so slow, started off ridiculously slow, and now potentially the mega evolution starting off crazy hot. So that will be interesting to see as well, and that's definitely going to throw a wrench into things moving forward, considering we have some big sets coming. It's a Charizard set, a Rayquaza set, a Greninja set, on top of like the base set actually looking super solid as well, at least from what we've seen already as far as the Mega Evolution base set with the illustration rares. I don't know, they look pretty good. We still haven't seen any of the SIRs, so there's still some judgment to be had there. But like, what is the next set gonna be, or sets, or era? Let me know if you have any theories in the comments. It's a little fun to speculate there, but yeah, I don't know. We don't know at this point in time, but stuff like Paldean Fates, what's going to get reprinted versus what's not going to get reprinted. They can't reprint everything, so there's definitely going to be sets that don't get reprinted and just continue to shoot up if things keep moving like this. So it kind of seems like Paldean Fates is one of those sets that is benefiting from that. So anyways, that's all I have for you guys in this one. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one, and remember, it was never a phase.